The night New York went dark. Emily Carter received a phone call that probably saved her life. But the terrifying part wasn't the warning. It was the voice on the other end whispering something she would never forget. Dantimu, he's in your apartment. On July 13th, a brutal summer heatwave had already turned New York City into a furnace. The air felt thick and sticky, like the whole city was suffocating under it. At exactly 9:36 p.m., everything went black. Streetlights flickered out. Neon signs died. Apartments across Manhattan fell into sudden darkness. A massive power outage. Inside a small fifth-floor apartment in Queens, Emily Carter, a 27-year-old graphic designer, sighed in frustration as her laptop screen went dark. "Great," she muttered. Outside, car horns echoed through the streets. People shouted from balconies. The entire city sounded restless. Emily grabbed a phone and turned on the flashlight. The tiny beam barely cut through the darkness. Her roommate was visiting family upstate, which meant Emily was completely alone. Normally, she loved the quiet. But tonight felt different. The silence inside the apartment felt heavy. Too heavy. She walked into the kitchen and poured herself a glass of water, trying to calm down. "Relax," she whispered to herself. "It's just a blackout." Then her phone rang. The sound made her jump. Unknown number. She frowned. "Who calls during a blackout?" "Still," she answered. "Hello?" For a moment, nothing. Just static. Then a man's voice whispered quietly, "Don't move." Emily blinked. "Excuse me." The voice spoke again, still calm, still quiet. "Don't move. He's in your apartment." Emily froze. "What kind of sick joke is this?" she snapped. No response, just breathing on the other end. Then the voice spoke again. "He's behind you." Emily spun around instantly. Her flashlight beam cut across the living room. Empty. Couch. Coffee table. TV. Nothing else. Her heart pounded. "Listen," she said angrily. "Whoever this is, knock it off." The voice interrupted her. "I'm watching through your window." Emily felt a chill crawl up her spine. Slowly, she turned toward the large window facing the street. Outside, the city was pitch black except for distant headlights. No one there. "Very funny," she muttered. Then the voice said something that made her blood run cold. "You're wearing a gray hoodie." Emily looked down. She was. Her mouth went dry. "How do you black leggings?" The voice continued quietly. "White socks." Emily's stomach dropped. Someone was watching her. Her eyes darted around the apartment. The voice spoke again. He came in through the fire escape. Emily's heart skipped. "What?" "He's inside," the man whispered. "You need to stay calm." Emily suddenly felt the apartment closing in around her. "Who are you?" she asked. No answer. Instead, the man asked a question. "Are you in the kitchen?" Emily hesitated. "Yes." "Good," the voice said. "Don't leave yet." Her breathing grew shaky. "Why?" A pause. Then the whisper returned. "Because he's in the hallway." Emily's pulse exploded in her ears. "What the hell are you talking about?" "I saw him climb through the window," the voice said calmly. "He's been moving around your apartment for the last 2 minutes." Emily's mind screamed that it was a prank, but her instincts were screaming louder. She whispered into the phone. "What should I do?" "Stay quiet," the man said, then soothingly. A floorboard creaked. From the hallway, Emily's entire body locked up. The voice whispered urgently. "Did you hear that?" "Yes," Emily breathed. "That's him." Her flashlight shook violently in her hand. "Call the police," she whispered. "I already did," the man said. "They're on the way." Emily felt tears forming. "How do you know all this?" "Silence." Then the voice answered softly, "Because I can see him." Her heart nearly stopped. "Where?" Another creak echoed in the apartment. Closer this time. The voice spoke slowly. He's standing right outside the kitchen. Emily's blood turned to ice. Her phone trembled in her grip. Don't, look, the voice warned. She could hear breathing now. Not from the phone. From the hallway. Someone was there. Someone was watching her. The voice continued, whispering instructions. Slowly. Grab something sharp. Emily reached for the kitchen drawer with shaking hands. She pulled out a knife. Her throat felt dry. Good, the voice said. Hold it. Footsteps moved again. Closer. Emily could feel the presence just beyond the doorway. Her entire body trembled. Police are 2 minutes away, the caller said. Sedelia's shadow moved across the kitchen wall. Emily gasped. The voice snapped. Don't run! But panic took over. Emily sprinted toward the front door. Behind her, footsteps exploded into motion. Someone was chasing her. She screamed and yanked the door open, running into the hallway of the apartment building. At the exact same moment, sirens wailed outside. The officers stormed the building minutes later. They found him hiding in Emily's apartment. A man with a knife. A stranger, someone who had climbed the fire escape during the blackout. Emily sat shaking in the hallway while police arrested him. Hours later, one of the officers approached her. You were lucky tonight, he said. Emily nodded weakly. I know. The officer frowned. Who called you? Emily looked at her phone. The unknown number. I don't know, she said. The officer's expression changed. We checked the call records. Emily blinked, and the officer's voice turned serious. There was no incoming call. Her stomach dropped. What do you mean? The officer showed her the phone log. No unknown number, no kalatol. Then he asked the question that would haunt her forever. If no one warned you, why did you run out of your apartment? Emily looked toward the dark hallway and suddenly realized something terrifying. If no one had called her, then who was whispering in her ear the entire time? Most office buildings in America skip the 13th floor. It's considered bad luck. But one night in Chicago, during a massive blackout, an elevator stopped on floor 13 in a building where that floor wasn't supposed to exist, and the man trapped inside quickly realized something horrifying. He wasn't alone. Mark Reynolds hated working late. At 32 years old, he was a financial analyst at a large corporate office building in downtown Chicago. Most nights he left the office around 6 p.m., like everyone else. But on that Thursday night, a last-minute report kept him stuck at his desk until almost 10:45 p.m. By the time he packed his laptop bag, the building was nearly empty. The cleaning crew had already finished their rounds, and the entire office floor was silent. Mark walked toward the elevators at the end of the hallway. The overhead lights hummed softly. He pressed the button. Ding? The elevator doors slid open. Inside, the metal walls reflected the dim office lights. Mark stepped in and pressed L for lobby. The doors began to close. Then suddenly the lights went out. Everything went pitch black. A loud electrical pop echoed through the building. Seriously, Mart Grohanit. The elevator jerked violently and stopped. Emergency lights flickered on inside the elevator, casting the small space in a dull red glow. Mark sighed and leaned against the wall. Perfect. Stuck in an elevator during a blackout. He pulled out his phone. No signal. Of course, he pressed the emergency call button. Nothing. The speaker only crackled with static. Great, he muttered. The elevator suddenly moved again. Slowly. Downward. Mark relaxed slightly. Okay. Good. But then the elevator stopped again. Ding. The small digital display above the door flickered. Mark looked up. The number glowing on the screen made his stomach twist. 13, he frowned. That's weird. The building didn't have a 13th floor. Like most American buildings, it skipped from 12 to 14. He had worked there for 4 years. He knew that. But the display clearly read 30 and the elevator door slid open halfway. Darkness filled the gap. Complete darkness. Mark leaned forward. Hello. No response. He stepped closer to the opening and shined his phone flashlight into the hallway. The beam revealed something strange. The hallway looked old, dusty carpet, yellowish walls, dim ceiling lights that flickered weakly. It looked nothing like the modern office floors above. What the hell? Mark stepped out of the elevator slowly. The air felt colder. The silence was heavy. Too heavy. "Hello," he called again. Nothing. He walked a few steps down the hallway. Every office door was closed. Each one had a small frosted glass window. Mark wiped dust off one of them. He shined the flashlight through the glass. Inside was an empty office. Old furniture, rotting paperwork, cobwebs in the corners. It looked abandoned for years. Mark's confusion turned into unease. "Maybe this is some storage floor," he whispered to himself. Then he noticed something strange on the wall, a directory sign. He brushed more dust away. The sign read, "Floor 13, executive offices." Underneath were names, but every name had been scratched out. Hard, like someone had violently carved through them. Mark felt a chill run down his spine. "Okay, screw this." He turned back toward the elevator. But as he walked back, something moved. At the far end of the hallway, a shadow. Mark froze.
"Hello?"
The shadow disappeared. His pulse started racing. "Probably a security guard," he muttered. Suddenly a door slammed, somewhere down the hallway. The sound echoed loudly. Mark's heart pounded. "Hey?" he called out. No response. Just silence again. Then footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps, coming from the darkness at the end of the hallway. Mark's breathing quickened. "Hello, security." The footsteps stopped. For a moment, everything went still. Then the hallway lights flickered violently, and in the brief flash of light, Mark saw someone standing at the end of the corridor. A tall figure, completely still, face hidden in shadow. Mark's stomach dropped. "Hey, I'm stuck in the elevator," he said nervously. No response. The figure didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, watching. Then the lights flickered again, and the figure was suddenly closer, much closer. Mark's heart slammed against his chest. He quickly backed toward the elevator. "Okay. Not funny," he muttered. The elevator doors were still open. He stepped inside quickly, but before the doors could close, a loud bang echoed in the hallway. Mark looked up. The figure was now sprinting toward the elevator. Fast. Too fast. Mark smashed the close door button repeatedly. "Come on. Come on." The doors began sliding shut. The figure reached the elevator just as the gap narrowed. For a split second, Mark saw its face, or what used to be a face. Pale. Distorted. Eyes completely black. Then the doors slammed shut. The elevator jerked violently and began moving again. Upward. Mark collapsed against the wall, shaking. The display changed numbers rapidly. 12, 11, 10. Finaliding. The elevator doors opened to the lobby. Bright lights, security guards, police officers, people everywhere. The blackout had ended. Mark stumbled out of the elevator, sweating and pale. A security guard rushed over. "Sir, are you okay?" Mark nodded weakly. "I got stuck." The elevator stopped on 13. The guard frowned. 13. "Yes." The guard shook his head slowly. "This building doesn't have a 13th floor." Mark pointed toward the elevator. It stopped there. Another guard joined them. "What's going on?" The first guard sighed. "He says the elevator stopped on 13. The second guard looked uneasy. Then he said something quietly. "That floor was sealed off." Mark blinked. "What do you mean?" The guard hesitated, then finally answered. 20 years ago, there was a fire." Mark's stomach tightened. A lot of people died on that floor. Mark slowly looked back toward the elevator. The display above the door now read, Hell but 4. Just a split second. The number flickered, and Mark swore he saw it change too. 13 before going dark again. On a quiet summer night in California, a babysitter thought the worst thing she'd deal with was a citywide blackout. But when the kids she was watching started whispering about someone smiling outside the window, she assumed it was just their imagination, until the security camera footage revealed something terrifying. Something that had been standing outside the house for hours. Watching Tim, it was supposed to be an easy night. Jessica Miller had babysat for the Thompson family plenty of times before. Their house sat in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside Sacramento, California. 2 kids, 8-year-old Tyler and his little sister Emma. Easy money. That Friday evening, the parents were heading out to a dinner party downtown. Kids are already fed, Mrs. Thompson told Jessica while grabbing her purse. They usually fall asleep by 10. Jessica nodded. Got it. Mr. Thompson added jokingly. Just survive the blackout. Jessica laughed. What blackout? The power company warned there might be rolling blackouts tonight, he explained. Nothing major, though. With that, they left. The house was quiet. Jessica sat on the couch scrolling through her phone while the kids watched cartoons. Around 9:12 p.m., the lights flickered once, then twice. Then the entire house went completely dark. Emma gasped. Jess, the lights. Jessica grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. Relax, she said calmly. Just a blackout. Outside, the entire neighborhood was dark too. No street lights. No porch lights. Nothing but moonlight. Jessica lit a few candles around the living room to make the kids feel better. See? Campfire vibes, she smiled. Tyler laughed. But Emma stayed quiet. Her eyes were fixed on the large living room window facing the backyard. Jessica noticed. What's wrong, Em? The little girl hesitated, then whispered something strange. There's a man outside. Jessica blinked. What? Emma pointed slowly toward the window. He's smiling. Jessica chuckled. Sweetie, there's nobody out there. She walked toward the window and shined her flashlight outside. The backyard was empty. Just a swing set and a wooden fence. See? She said. Nothing. Emma looked confused, but he was right there. Jessica shrugged it off. Probably just a shadow. They continued watching TV on Jessica's tablet. About 20 minutes later, Tyler suddenly sat up. Jess. What? There's someone outside again. Jessica sighed. You guys are trying to scare me now. Tyler shook his head seriously. He's still smiling. Jessica slowly turned toward the window. Her heart skipped for a moment. For a split second, she thought she saw something move near the fence, but when she pointed the flashlight outside again, nothing. Just darkness. All right, she said firmly. Bedtime. The kids groaned, but obeyed. Jessica walked them upstairs and tucked them into bed. Good night, monsters, she joked. Good night, Tyler said. Emma grabbed Jessica's wrist suddenly. Don't turn off the light. Jessica smiled gently. Just sleep. I'll be right downstairs. Emma hesitated, then whispered one last thing. He's closer now. Jessica felt a small chill, but she ignored it. Good night. She closed the bedroom door and walked downstairs. The blackout still hadn't ended. The house felt strangely quiet. Jessica sat on the couch again and checked her phone. Still no signal. She sighed, then tap. Jessica froze. A soft tapping sound came from the window. She slowly looked up. Nothing. Probably a tree branch, she thought. Then it happened again. Tap, tap. Her stomach tightened. Jessica grabbed her phone flashlight and slowly walked toward the window. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass. Beyond it was complete darkness. Hello? She said quietly. No answer. She stepped closer. Her flashlight beam scanned the backyard. Swing set. Fence. Garden. Nothing else. Jessica shook her head and laughed nervously. You're freaking yourself out. She turned away, but as she did, she heard something else. A slow breath. Right outside the window. Jessica spun around instantly. Her flashlight shook in her hand. Hello? Silence. Her heart hammered. Then suddenly the power came back. The entire house lit up. Lights flooded the living room. Jessica exhaled in relief. Finally, she locked the back door just in case and went upstairs to check on the kids. They were asleep. Everything seemed normal again. An hour later, the Thompsons returned home. How were the kids? Mrs. Thompson asked. Good, Jessie said. She hesitated before adding, they kept saying someone was outside the window. Mr. Thompson frowned. That's weird. Jessica shrugged. Probably just the blackout scaring them. Then Mr. Thompson said something that made her uneasy. Let me check the security cameras. They sat at the kitchen table as he pulled up the footage on his tablet. Backyard camera, he said. The video began playing. At 8:47 p.m., a tall figure climbed over the backyard fence. Jessica's blood went cold. Wait. Pause. Mr. Thompson zoomed in. The figure stood near the window, completely still. Its face was tilted upward, smiling. Jessica's stomach twisted. Oh my God! The footage kept playing. The figure didn't move, didn't leave. It just stood there, watching the house, for nearly 3 hours. Jessica felt sick. Did he try to get in? She whispered. Mr. Thompson fast-forwarded. At 9:12 p.m., when the blackout started, the figure stepped closer to the window, so close, its face nearly touched the glass. Jessica covered her mouth. That's when Emma saw him. The footage continued. At 10:05 p.m., the figure slowly stepped back into the darkness, then climbed over the fence again and disappeared. Jessica felt dizzy. Did the police catch him? Mr. Thompson looked confused. There's something strange. What? He rewound the footage, zoomed in closer. Jessica leaned forward, and then she saw it. The backyard grass, the fence, the swing set, everything was perfectly still, except for the figure, because the security camera showed something impossible. The man outside the window didn't cast a shadow. Not once, not even when the lights came back on. Jessica slowly leaned back in her chair, realizing something terrifying. Whatever had been outside that window that night wasn't a man at all.